Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Carter's Corner. A little bit late, but that's all right. We'll get there. So before the show starts, we do have a special guest with us today. We've got Cam from No Mandatory Vaccinations today. We've got Aaron Malloy in the office with us today as well. And obviously, yours truly, me. We were meant to have Di Bane, but we'll get to that one later. And before we start, disclaimer time. We are here tonight to discuss political issues on Carter's Corner. Opinions expressed on this show are the opinions of the person expressing those opinions, and we respect the rights of all people to hold their opinions freely. But I must point out that they are not by any means the opinion of the board of directors for the station. They are not the opinions of the members of the station, its staff, or any of the sponsors of the station. The goal of Carter's Corner is to provide a platform that encourages political discourse without the hindrance of political correctness. We aim for this show to be raw, we aim for this show to be real, and we aim for this show to be uncensored, putting the cancel culture back in the box on the shelf where it deserves to be. Now that the formalities are outside, we're going to jump to another song, and when we come back, we're going to have Cam from No Mandatory Vaccination Party and Aaron Malloy in the station with us right now. Fantastic. We'll see you soon. All right, welcome back. Welcome to Carter's Corner. And if people are wondering why I keep saying welcome back, because I know it annoys Aaron to no end. So
not a little bit, mate. Seriously, I'm having kittens right now.
I know, it shows. It's awesome. So, but serious. We do have Cam Tinley. Now, I've always wondered, am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah,
We've got Cam Tinley here. He is the founding father of No Mandatory Vaccinations with us here today. Just say hello, Cam.
Yep. Hello, Travis. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me in, Travis. It's great.
Not a problem at all. Sorry, I was just making sure your levels are a little bit good. Now, so for today, there's a few things I want to have a look. So for the people who listened in last week, we did hit on the WA Perth City mayoral election quite solidly. Mm-hmm. We had the... Do I have to call it honourable now that she's actually won a councillor seat? Honourable.
I don't know. I think you might have
Di
to.
Baines. We had Bruce Reynolds, and we also had David Ho in the show. He actually came into the studio, which was awesome. So we've got the results for the election, some of the things from that. So we don't have to touch on that, some of the issues that came up on that one. And then we've also got quite a few messages came through last week, which we never got a chance to touch on. So I'm hoping to get into those later in the show as well. Now, obviously, we've got Cam in the show, but there's a vacant seat here. So the honourable, I'm not going to call it honourable because I'm not sure what the official title is. The councillor, she didn't win her seat. She didn't become the mayor, but she did become a councillor. So Di Bane is a noticeable absence from the show, especially after I advertised it, which is kind of funny. But before we get into that, so let's go through the results. So obviously, 4 men won councillor positions, 4 women won councillor positions.
Absolutely.
Which is phenomenal, for all the gender equality out there.
I almost want to dive in right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh, so awesome. And obviously, the one and the only Basil Zamplis got the Lord Mayor. So does that mean we call him Lord Basil?
Well, it was that or Lord Farquhar, so I don't know, your choice.
It's kind of funny because on Shrek there's so many adult jokes, it's not funny. So
love it.
It's awesome. Okay, but what also happened since the election, they did have their first council meeting, I suppose it's called, and they appointed a female deputy, which is an awesome thing. Is you get all the people out there saying, oh, we need gender quotas in Parliament House, we're going to have X amount of female MPs and all this sort of stuff, but they don't say nothing about enough female garbologists and bricklayers and electricians and all that sort of stuff.
Look, equality is very, very important, absolutely vital. But, when do we get to the point where we have to legislate? That's the bit that, I get very iffy about. I think that nature will find a way. Simple as that. The old Jurassic Park theory here.
Survival of the fittest.
That's right. No, I tend to think that the person with the right qualifications should get the job. And I think that, as I said, I think that the people of Perth have spoken. The voters have spoken.
They definitely have spoken.
Yeah, by giving genuine gender balance here. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic to see.
So let's throw the question out there to everyone in radio land out there, and also the ones listening on live at 897fm.com.au. Click on the red Play Now button. Is it Play Now or live stream button on the top right-hand side?
Yep.
I can't remember, having been there for a while. Gender quotas been naturally met in our society in 2020 with the Perth mayoral elections. Are they still required in government? Gender quotas, that's what I'm talking about. Are gender quotas required in any form of elections, whether it be local council or local government, as some people like to call it, state government, federal government, all that sort of stuff? I personally think gender quotas is a crock. I think it's a form of discrimination, and I think there shouldn't be any labelling of people whatsoever. And for the people who are running, they need to be the best person for the job.
Yep, absolutely. And look, what did Basil Zemplis actually say about a Lord Mayor deputy?
Well, I'm having a look here in the West Australian by Shannon Hampton and Josh Zimmerman. Basil Zemplis, this is a quote apparently, "Woman Deputy Lord Mayor makes sense." So again, is this him trying to appease the feminists out in the society there, or is this a case of, it's just symmetrical and he likes things to look even?
You'd have to ask Basil. But, of course, Basil won't be here. And why will Basil not be here, mate?
Oh, I love this one. So, for the people that don't know, under the previous Lord Mayor, here we go. Again, the report. What is it? The reporter?
The reporter, yep.
This is Giovanni Torre. It is City of Perth has ended its decade-old gag on councillors speaking to the media. Councillors voted unanimously at last night's meeting to change city media policy. Okay, so that leads very into why we have a person missing in the studio today.
I know.
The Honourable Di Bane told me in text messages that she was not allowed to come into today's show because she was not allowed to talk to the media.
Not true.
So
sorry.
I'd love for Di to actually send a message in to give us a please explain, if you will.
Here's my thing. Okay, transparency 101. Okay, I like things to be very clear, and the reality is now, this election has always been about transparency. It's always been about accountability and so forth. And, honesty is sort of one of those traits that seems to be linked to those two.
Definitely.
So it's pretty interesting that someone who just really got into power just the other day is already telling fibs to the media.
Exactly. Now, what I would love to do, we do have another guest in the room, in the studio with us today. Stop calling it a room. Cam, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't delved into this situation with the City of Perth election, so I really couldn't give an opinion on what she's and what Di's done there. So I really
a very politically correct answer. Look at that. All right. I'm not keen on political correctness, obviously. I believe in honesty and integrity. So I'm not happy at all that we've got a whole council that let's face it, the old council and the old mayor, Lisa Scafidi, there was so much talk about corruption. There was inquiries, there was investigations, there was, obviously police inquiries as well. It was all about use of power. Okay,
abuse of power.
Absolutely. So one wonders why, as I say, we go straight in, and the whole thing was to have a clean slate, bring in this whole new council, and they're already playing funny buggers with the old. Now, here's the thing, right? Gag orders are for people who need to hide things. All right. If you want transparency, great. Okay, but ultimately, anyone wants to gag someone, it's because they've got something to hide. And I find this absolutely repugnant, quite frankly.
Yes, definitely. Now, I'm just having a look at time here. It is now 8:27 in the office. I'm thinking we should maybe go to a song.
Okay.
We'll get some messages come through on the text line. So the text line for people again is 0418 897 897. If you tell us your thoughts, tell us what you think. Do you think that the City of Perth is following in the previous council and heading down that dangerous path of corruption and not hiding things? Ooh, that's a big word, corruption. Or are we, have we got a chance with this council? Do you think Basil Zemplis has the experience, the knowledge to try and control potentially a very, very dangerous situation?
Well, we saw the mess that came up last time.
Definitely.
It's time to clean the swamp.
All right, excellent. You're listening to Carter's Corner with Travis Carter on 89.7 FM. Welcome back to Carter's Corner. And I've done it again.
He has done it again. He does it just to torture me. He really does. But never mind.
That
it's
one
okay.
wasn't actually an accident. I'll generally say
I
that's
appreciate
an accident.
that.
So, all right. So we have been talking about the City of Perth elections for the mayor. But we do have Cam in the office here. So what I'd like to do, just so everyone out in Radio Land knows who we've got in the office, so I'd actually like to invite Cam to actually tell us about the no mandatory vaccination party and why he decided to do it.
Okay.
Cam, it's all yours.
Thanks, Travis. The reason we set up the no mandatory vaccination party was we'd heard a few stories people were saying, talking about the Public Health Act, the West Australian Public Health Act of 2016. There are a few rumours going around about what was in there. So I thought, well, I'll go and find the offending section. And I read that and I just could not believe my eyes. It was the most horrifying scenario you could possibly come up with. No science fiction movie could come up with the scenario that's actually in the legislation. So then I spent probably a month going reading all the legislation, this act from start to finish, the 1911 Public Health Act, start to finish, the federal acts, the Poisons Act, every act that had anything to do with this, to see if it was an aberration, this section that was in there, or whether it was a consistent theme throughout the whole Act. And it definitely was a consistent theme through the whole Act from page 1 right through to page 211. It's all about mandatory vaccinations. And the Act that it took over from the 1911 Public Health Act had nothing to do with vaccination. In fact, people could opt out of vaccinations. There were conscientious objection provisions within the 1911 Act, so people could refuse to get their kids vaccinated, no punishment whatsoever. But this Act we've got...
it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. So
I mean, I might, a bit later I'll read the section 158.
Yep.
What we're focusing on is 158 because it's a simple section, but I could read any number of sections and they're equally as horrifying.
Just so people out there who can't see this live, like in person, Cam's got this red folder and it's absolutely chock-a-block with paperwork. And I have read the section that he's talking about. I've gone into it and it is diabolical. Like, it is terrible. And I can see Aaron looking at me and I have a sneaky suspicion he has no idea what's actually in there. So this might be a big eye-opener.
Yeah, I'm learning right now, absolutely. So I'm also learning that I'm liking Cam because he does his prep, mate. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Is that something you want to tell me? Okay, so Cam, why don't you just I think it's section section 158 part E from memory.
Yeah, I'm going to read the whole thing so people can get their heads around it. I'm going to read it slowly, deliberately, because I think it needs to be read slowly. This is section 158 of the Public Health Act of 2016.
Yep.
Enforcement of requirement to undergo medical observation, medical examination. Part 1. If an authorised officer gives a direction to a person under section 157 to undergo medical observation, medical examination or medical treatment or to be vaccinated, an authorised officer or police officer may use reasonable force to ensure that the direction is complied with.
Yep. Okay, I'll hold you up there on that one. So just one that's really, really, really quickly important. At the start of that there, they said an authorised person.
Yeah.
Now,
Who defines that?
My understanding is the minister.
Sorry?
Is it the minister or the...
No, the authorised officers, even the chief health officer is superior to the Minister for Health.
Yeah.
And they've admitted that when the Hansards came out, and you read the Hansards, the Minister for Health realised that the chief health officer has a more senior position than the Minister for Health.
Yeah, exactly.
But these authorised officers are extremely important. They have the the ultimate power.
Yeah.
And the authorised officer does not need any paperwork to say they're an authorised officer.
And there's more.
Oh,
They
there's
do
far-
not need to be medically trained.
Well, worse than that, if we can get worse than that, they don't need any paperwork to say they're an authorised officer. So somebody can turn up at your house and say they're an authorised officer, not dressed in a uniform, with no badge, with no identification, and just said, I'm here to give you your vaccination, remove your clothing. That is the order they can give you, and if you don't do that, they will remove your clothing for you.
Now, we've just had a message come through from the producer in the other room. So, Dwayne, thank you very much for your help with this one. He's just put a message up there. The Chief Health Officer is not elected.
No.
He has gone through no elections. He hasn't been done anything. He just goes, right, I'm pretty sure it's the health minister that nominates him, goes, right, you're the Chief Health Officer.
That's right.
Which you've got someone who, hopefully the Chief Health Officer is qualified, picking people who potentially who won't be qualified to go to any random person's house, say, right. And by the way, for the vaccination things, it's anyone, including children.
Yeah, it is. But the chief, the authorised officers, and they don't know this, that this vaccination program will be implemented by local government. And people think, well, that's odd. Why would local government do it? Why wouldn't it be the health department or the state government? Why would local government be doing it? And if you wanted to see the worst in this, it's because they're entirely incapable of fulfilling the program. They cannot. They're at their wits' end, doing the bins, doing the parks, doing all of this. They have no capacity whatsoever to launch into a vaccination program. So what that means is that anybody that offers them help, they'll take it. If you've got a CEO of a local government and the direction's being given to them to do vaccinations, if they get a military, and it doesn't even have to be an Australian military, it could be United Nations military, it could be in the United States, or I won't go into other countries, it could be any country's military, and they could come in and do these vaccinations on people. And but the section that I read part one, but the offending section that just blows people away is section D.
Yeah, we've got to go into another quick song just quickly, and by the looks of it, we've got to pay some bills as well, so there might be a few messages from our sponsors. So what we'll chuck on another song quickly, and then we'll go get into the really, really offensive parts of this act. And then hopefully we'll get some questions coming in, 0418 897 897, and we'll throw them out there so people can ask Cam questions, whatever they want to ask, and we'll take it from there. All right, so this is Carter's Corner, and you're listening on 89.7. All right, I was going to go to a song, but this is too hot of a topic, so we are going to keep going through it. We'll put a song on later. So obviously we're on Carter's Corner with Travis Carter, Aaron Malloy, and the special guest, Cam Tinley. So what is the really, really, really offensive part of this act, Cam?
Okay, so we've read the initial section. We've read that. Then it's got broken into sections A, B, C, and D. I'll read C. It's only a short section. That the police officer may use reasonable force to ensure the direction is complied with. And section D, they can restrain the relevant person to enable medical observation, medical examination, or medical treatment to be carried out. And part two of that is to enable the relevant person to be vaccinated. And then D is the clincher, to remove anything, including underwear, that the relevant person is wearing. If the removal of anything is reasonably necessary to enable medical examination or medical treatment to be carried out, or, as the case requires, to enable the person to be vaccinated.
Now, Cam, is it 1939 and we're walking around doing very funny sort of hand signals? Is that what's going on here? Because that is absolute Gestapo stuff.
Yeah.
That is strip you naked. Now, look, whatever your position is about vaccinations, not so. Look, I'm actually not against vaccinations, but I am totally against anything being, compulsory and people being forced. Right? I think we need to have options. We need to have choices in life. And if you're against having vaccinations, then quite frankly, that's your right. There should be, like everything, there's consequences to that. But the fact that our government has the power to strip you off, hold you down, and stick a needle in your arm. This is 1984 stuff. This is Gestapo stuff. This is the crazy socialists of the 30s, right? And it's absolutely insane. And I think that what I just don't understand, I really don't understand this, is we look back at history here. And history we're supposed to learn from. Why the hell are we not learning? Why are we repeating the same mistakes? Why the hell are we giving our government the power to hold you down, strip you down?
I have to stop you there. It's worse. There's a bill currently in the federal parliament to enable the Australian Defence Force, reserves, foreign military forces and foreign police to be used in Australia in emergencies. So not only is this going to Australian people to dictate how we can live and what we can do, the government is actually trying to pass a bill at the moment which will give other countries the authority to act on the Australian government's behalf if they want to vaccinate you, if they want to pin you down, if they want to microchip you. Because it says in the Act, any medical procedure.
Yep.
Isn't a lobotomy a medical procedure?
I'll tell you what, this is getting very Nevada desert anal probes, man. I mean, really, it's unbelievable. We can make jokes about it, but Cam, this is very serious. I agree.
I mean, there are so many avenues you can go down. The movie Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's last movie, and that we can go down that rabbit hole as well. It was his last movie, and the pivotal scene in Eyes Wide Shut was when Tom Cruise gets caught out going to this orgy, I suppose you would call it, but we can go into that. But he was hauled up before the Master of Ceremonies, and he said, "You will remove your clothing. If you don't, we will remove your clothing for you."
Well, that's exactly this.
And that is what this exactly. That's the most horrifying part of that movie, and he was horrified, and everybody gasps. But that is what is in the legislation.
Yeah.
They can remove your clothing, and now we're going through getting members. I've produced a video, which was kindly put together by can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, by Dwayne. Yeah. Dwayne Hill.
So that's the producer at the back. So
and in that video, I spoke about the section about removing clothing, and people gasped. And then when people have seen the video's been seen 4,000 times now in 3 weeks.
That's stellar.
And we have got, I would say at this stage, 900 members from watching for 4,000 views. And it's got about 800 reactions as well for 4,000 views. People cannot believe it. Yeah. And there's so many things that are unbelievable. First of all, this Act, how it got through the Parliament without any member of Parliament reading it is staggering in itself.
I'm starting to really come to the conclusion that a lot of legislation gets through without being read, quite frankly. I mean, we do know that the Labor Party and the Liberal Party are stacked. We know that, okay? We live in the real world. And we know that a lot of the people in there are voting purely and simply what they're told to vote for. That is just the reality of modern politics. It's disgusting, but it's the reality of it.
Yeah, I can give you a bit of an update on that one as well.
Okay.
So, love her or hate her, everyone remembers where Pauline Hanson put the bill up, it's okay to be white. And Liberals supported it, Labor said no. And then later on, after it passed, Liberals turned around and said, oh no, we voted for the wrong thing, we were supposed to say no. So to understand how that happens, with the majors, you have what's called a party whip. So out in the morning, all the MPs come into Parliament, they sit down and they have a parliamentary meeting. They go, all right, on today's, we've got 10 bills, Bill 1176559, whatever it's called. You will vote yes. Next bill, you'll vote no. And if you deviate from what the party whip tells you, they'll disendorse you. They'll kick you out of the party.
Right. And you won't get your money, your funding. Simple as that for the next election. You lose your job. So it's, look, there's a lot of words I could use for how current government works. Yep. We've all got our opinion, that sort of thing. But this is why, I'm a big believer in with the smaller parties, listen to them, listen to what they've got to say, and make your own judgment. Don't believe what the politicians tell you, and certainly don't believe what the media tell you. Because I'm telling you right now, as someone who knows a little bit about the media, they're kind of full of,
Well, we're after 6, so you're allowed to say the truth. They're full of bullshit. Okay. Let's be honest here. Okay, so now what I'd really love to see is I've got 3 kids. I have vaccinated them against measles, mumps, rubella, and the major ones.
Yep.
I don't do the flu vaccination. I personally don't get the flu vaccination. I think it's kind of pointless, but that's my choice. My personal stance on this one is if you want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. You do what you want.
It is about choice. Choice.
Exactly. Now, what I want to do is hopefully there's some people on the other side of the spectrum on this one listening in. I want to hear your thoughts. So 0418 897 897. Let us know, why do you think this is a good idea to force vaccinations on people, especially in consideration of COVID-19, the big scary flu? we went through SARS without forced vaccinations, and that didn't really kill many people.
I'm also going to throw something in, and I'm sorry to break.
Yeah, go for
mate.
it.
This is an issue. This is an issue as far as I'm concerned. Before Cam was mentioning about the fact that councils would effectively become in charge of this, right? Now, I know someone, okay, and I have to be very careful about how I say this, but I know someone who was approached by someone in the vaccination world, if you like, and offered private information of other people. So what I'm saying is that information is corrupted. It's private information that is available to far too many people, and people are actually selling it.
I did a news article on this one on traviscarter.com.au. Is about the cybersecurity breaches that the federal government has had. It's insane. But I'll touch on that one later. So,
but your private information, a private person tried to sell someone else's private information.
Yes,
from the vaccination list.
The chief cybersecurity officer reported that 77 million combinations. So this is the password, email, and login username got reported as stolen, and he confirmed his own personal details were on there. They were true and accurate, 100% right.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So I'm not surprised that there's people having breaches from the WA government, considering how poorly they're doing with things like our Medicare and the MyGov sites and all that sort of stuff. All right. So like I said, I really, really do want to hear about that other side, because obviously we do have Cam here, so we're hearing his side of the story. And on Carter's Corner, we want to hear from all sides of things. I want to open up the debate, the discussion to everyone. So if you do think the mandatory vaccination is a good thing, we promise we won't shout you down and all that sort of stuff. I
want to hear it.
Yeah, we want to hear your opinions. We want this to be an open platform, because we know how well Twitter and Facebook censor people at the moment. So 0418 897 897. Send your opinions through. Tell us what you think, and we'll have a look at it. Now, you guys were talking earlier about state government's involvement in forcing vaccinations. Oh, just hit my mic. In forcing vaccinations onto people. Let's explore that more, because obviously we've just had the Perth City Mayor election come through. How do they plan to make this work, considering how much of the Perth City Council has been a failure in the past? How can they possibly do this?
As far as the vaccination program,
yeah,
I just don't think the state government's capable of doing it. Local government, it's just ludicrous to think that they have any capacity whatsoever. I've spoken to CEOs of local government, and they have no idea this exists. Wow. Policemen have no idea that they'll be removing people's clothing. They say, what's this all about? Yep. They're horrified by it. But it's not just in section 158. I had somebody ring me and said, I thought it was 186, just got them around. So I looked at 180, it says the same thing. Yeah. I couldn't, it was word perfect.
Now, Dwayne, can you also have a look up State Emergency Act? Oh, hit my mic again. Can you look up the State Emergency Act for us, and also see if it's in there as well? Because I know a lot of the sections in the State Emergency Act also doubles up in the Health Act as well.
Local governments have, their responsibility is, keeping the streets looking nice, your bins picked up, the playground equipment, all that sort of thing. Keeping the sanitary sort of needs of the area great, keeping it pretty, all that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Not to indoctrinate people into a system. I mean, it's just absolutely ludicrous. It's throwing a power and a responsibility to them that they don't need, and I don't think they'd want that.
They don't need it, they don't want it, but what the dangerous thing is, they will, if they're given the job, they have to do it.
Of course.
They will just get any help. And if you get a military saying, we will help you, they'll say, go for it.
Well, you could just get some private security guards. We know how well that works, right, Victoria?
You beat me to it. So what I think we do, we're going to jump onto a song now. We'll break this up a little bit. After this song, we have a bit of Lionel Richie coming up. We'll continue this debate. And I also want to quickly touch back before it gets too late. There's a few things that we've spoken about here that I would really like to address on about the Perth Mayor Council things. And my understanding is there's actually someone trying to call through on the line. So we'll get to that one in a minute. All right, so here's a bit of Lionel Richie. You're listening to Carter's Corner on 89.7 FM. Carter's Corner, it is 89.7fm.com.au, and the station is 89.7 FM. Now, the time, because the boss said I had to say it, is right on 9 o'clock, and he's shaking his head at me. I love it.
No, I'm actually happy. Look at this. He's actually done it. Nice work.
So, we have had a caller. which is awesome. So we actually do have Sean from South Perth. He's called up to give his opinion on the whole vaccination arguments and all that sort of stuff. So, Sean from South Perth, can you hear us?
Oh, hi, Travis. Can I say what a wonderful show you've got on there?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Oh,
Thanks, mate.
I'm getting a bit of a big head here. So, like I said, we do have Cam from No Mandatory Vaccination in the studio with us. What's your thoughts, Sean?
Look, I'm obviously vaccinated myself, as well as my children. And the key thing is to be fully informed about what the vaccinations contain. If all the news about vaccination for COVID, people have to realise that it's only something like the way it's being rushed and the way it's being pushed through. The best estimate is something like 75% of it will only be suitable for 75% of people. Whereas things like smallpox that had years and years of research into it covers 96% of people by contrast. In other words, it's effective for 96% of the population, whereas the best estimate for something like COVID is going to be only 75%.
Wow.
So for 25% of people, it's not going to work at all.
So just so we're clear, so 75% of the people who are dying get the COVID vaccine is going to work for them. So that's 25% of the population. Pretty much, it's not going to help them, and it's going to get forced down their throats or in their arms, according to this legislation. What about the risk side of things? Like, I understand that, it's to save you from the one of the weakest flus in history. And in case you can't tell, no, I think the COVID flu is a bit of a joke. I think this is just part of a plan to be able to check their population controls, to be honest with you.
I'd like to reaffirm my position right now that the opinions on this show are those of the people who say them, so not the management or the... Go on, mate.
You had to do that, didn't you? Yeah,
absolutely.
so... okay, so I've got Dwayne sending me a few messages in here. Single issue party. All right, I've got another question here coming through. Hang on, let me read this for a bit.
Well, actually, before you read that, mate, let's get Cam's opinion on what Sean said. Okay, that's important.
All right, let's go with that.
So what Sean is giving an opinion on vaccination, or his experience in vaccinating himself and his kids and the efficacy of vaccinations themselves. What we're doing with No Mandatory Vaccination Party, we're really looking at the situation of the forced nature of it, where people do not have a choice. And so it takes all the free will out of it, whether people done their research, whether they want the vaccination or whether they don't want the vaccination. It makes no difference if it's mandatory. But this is beyond mandatory. This is being given a vaccination under unbelievable duress. And it comes into a whole new area. You've had people concerned about vaccinations, other minor parties, but in our situation, we're really concerned about the duress. I mean, if this vaccination is good for you, how can the government come in and say, right, this vaccination is good for you, we will hold you down, we will remove your clothing, we'll fine you $20,000 if you refuse to get the vaccination, and then try to say, but it's good for you. I mean, if it's good for you, you'll just willingly accept it.
Well, yeah, look, no, because people have free will, and that's the point. That's why they'll arc up if they don't want the shot. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth at all, because look, my position, as I say, I hate the word pro-vaccination, but I believe in them. I mean, I've got beautiful kids that I want to protect. So from that point of view, I'm very much for it. But can I ask, is it the issue of you're not against the vaccinations themselves? The issue is for you, the fact that they've become mandatory and the fact that we can be forced into them. Is that what it is?
No, the concern for me is there are an enormous number of people. I can only say from the membership, and we have got an enormous membership already, I can see the pattern in the sort of people that are joining the party and their attitude. There are some people, and some Christians in particular, but it's not necessarily only Christians, they will not have this vaccination. They will fight to the death.
Okay.
And you're going to have you could have a civil war situation where people are going to, in big numbers, are going to say, I'm not going to get that vaccination. Nobody is going to give my kid a vaccination. People are not going to charge through my door. and that is not going to happen.
Open rebellion,
and
by the
then
sounds of it.
you're having an open rebellion, and
Okay.
you've got a civil war
So
situation.
what we'll do, we have got Sean from South Perth on the line here who's talking about the COVID-19 vaccinations and how it's only going to be 75% effective compared to a lot of these other vaccinations. So Sean from South Perth, just what's your opinion because with the Act, it's not just talking about the COVID-19. So a lot of people who listen to Cam first, they're complaining, COVID-19. This isn't about the COVID-19.
No.
Just quickly, Cam, what year was that bill passed?
This bill was passed in
2015?
2016. It was introduced in 2013, and it took 3 years to get through the Parliament.
Yeah, so this is not a new thing. This is not because of COVID. It's got nothing to do with COVID. So just to be 100% clear on this. So, Sean, if the government turned around and said, right, there's a new vaccination for a disease that no one's ever heard of, it's never killed anyone, it's never hurt no one, and they said you have to take that vaccine, would you take it?
Of course not. I think if you take one step back. See, everyone is so scared at the moment. Everyone fear has been instilled. This is the fastest health scare. Everyone has to be scared. If you're not scared, something's wrong with you. We're bombarded every day. Every hour on television, on radio. Every second ad in the paper is about we're all going to die. Okay, so it's not killing anyone in large numbers. It's not, we've been community free for that many months. But in order to open up, they're creating a very false impression that the only way out is a vaccine. And it's never going to be. I'll give you the figures earlier. 25% of the population, the vaccine won't be effective for them. If you don't believe me, look up the promoters of this vaccine who are saying it's only going to be effective. Efficacy is only be there for 75% of the population. So I do agree with Cam that this this silver bullet that everyone's asking for, and that people have got to a stage where they all want it now. You got people who have never once believe in compulsory vaccinations are saying. It should be compulsory. How dare people come to visit our state without being vaccinated? My thing is no. This thing should not be. So I do agree with Cam. It should not be compulsory. Vaccinations have their purpose, but to rush something through to get something to make it compulsory and for people to be demanding that no one can come and visit my home, my place, my state. Without a vaccination, it's totally ridiculous.
No, 100% agree with you on that one there, Sean. So we're just having a look at these facts now, and there's so many articles about the efficiency of the vaccination. The bit that I'm finding really, really fascinating, there's a couple of articles from BBC I'm seeing flicking through here. There's one from The Guardian, and they're all quoting different figures. So I'm wondering how much of what's being reported on how effective these vaccinations are, how much of it is utter crap and how much is actual legit coming from the proper medical reports, studies. My concern is because they're rushing this through so quickly. I think it was the measles, the mumps, or was it smallpox? One of them. They rushed the vaccine through in less than 3 years, and that was arguably the fastest vaccine ever. And now they're talking about getting this one rushed through in 6 months.
Well, here's my thing. I have a little saying in life, right? 76% of statistics are made up on the spot. I've had enough of fake research. I've had enough of the fact of, so many groups. Basically, they do the research and they find the result that whoever funded the research wanted to find. That's the real world we live in. That's the world of, a big farm. That's the, the government world. It is absolutely ridiculous. And there's so many instances where the statistics have been absolutely screwed with. The facts are just thrown out the window to create a number that makes money or fear or whatever the product is that they're trying to chase at the moment. So unfortunately, and this is the thing too, we live in a big tech world these days where if I've literally done this experiment with a friend where we've stood next to each other, got our phones and we've Googled the exact same thing at the exact same time and got completely different answers.
That's actually quite interesting. So what I'm going to do here, Sean from South Perth, thank you very much for calling it through today. So On the text line, if you do want us to give you a call through, 0418 897 897. Send us a message through what you want to talk to us about, and we'll give you a call through. Unfortunately, we do only have one telephone line coming through into the studio. We need to keep that one clear. So, Sean, thank you very much for being our first actual caller through who hasn't been a guest. So, thank you. That's absolutely awesome.
Cool.
If you do have any other questions, make sure you get the message through.
Cam.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, so fantastic. So that was Sean from South Perth. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to learn how to use the phone system.
Hey, mate, you're doing a fine job. There's so many buttons and so little time here. Speaking of time, what do you think we go to a song, have a bit of a break, yeah? Or would you like to push on?
You know what? I think I'm going to have a break.
Cool.
'Cause I need another drink of water.
Sounds good.
It's quite warm in the studio today. So we do have Cam here from No Mandatory Vaccination Party. He's answering your phone calls. Please come through on 0418 897 897. Carter's Corner on 89.7 FM. The time has just ticked over 9:15. Just make sure that stop button is pressed.
Oh, the technicalities there. I'll tell you right now.
Success.
Oh, I'm sitting here right now. I've got the jitterbug right now. I'm telling you, you're terrifying me, man.
God, you and your musical puns, they're awesome. Now, so we do have Cam Tinley here from the No Mandatory Vaccination Party, Western Australia. So, Cam, for people who want to become members and want to talk to you more and find out more about this, how do we get a hold of you?
Well, sorry. My email address through email is as good as any way. camtinley@bigpond.com.
Can you spell that out, please, mate?
Yeah, CAMTINLEY at bigpond.com.
Now, I can see here you've got a YouTube channel with all your videos on it.
Yeah.
So the way I found that is I just obviously pulled up YouTube, and because of your subject topic, you're being hidden by YouTube, which is just the censorship is amazing.
Oh.
Like, I'm kind of shocked by this. You were about 3/4 the way down. The way I found it, I just in the YouTube search, No Mandatory Vaccination Party WA, and on this computer with its algorithms and whatnot through YouTube, it was just scroll down and you'll eventually find the handsome man in a suit with a blue tie, and that's his page there. He's got the 3 videos up there, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come.
Great.
All right, so moving forward, Cam, what else have you got planned coming forward?
Well, we're just going to keep pushing the membership. The thing that we're a single issue party. We are a party that is about this no mandatory vaccination, and everybody who joins the party has the same view. They're opposed to the mandatory vaccination. And I can look at the sort of people, I get a record of who joins up, and I can see that 80% of our members are women. It's a huge percentage of women, 80% women,
Wow.
20% men. And they seem to be horrified about the fact of the removal of clothing. That I would anticipate or guess that is the thing that frightens the women the most. But the thing is, because we're a single issue party, everybody agrees. Everybody in the party agrees. Where any other party, you'll have divisions. We have about 900 members, and this is in about 5 weeks.
Wow, that's
By
insane.
the time the next election comes around, we will have as many members as either the Liberal or the Labor Party. I think we've already got more members than the National Party. This is in membership numbers because they can come on board and everybody agrees with each other.
But if the election's only a few months ago, it's March.
Yeah.
It's getting close. It's getting real close.
Can I throw this out? What is your opinion of, our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has actually used the term, he wants to make the coronavirus vaccine, quote, mandatory as possible. How do you feel about that quote, mate?
Well, that was a very, very significant day. Scott Morrison read it wrong. He thought that it would be a vote winner. He's a politician. He thought it'd be a vote winner because 80% of the public were in favour of getting the vaccination, getting the COVID-19 vaccination. 80% were in favour. So he thought that if he said, right, I'm going to introduce a mandatory vaccination, he would have 80% of people supporting him. By the end of the day, 80% of people were against a mandatory vaccination, only 20% were in favour. So it had completely flipped around. Now, what I found in the Facebook ads, we're pushing my video out, is that, and I'm pushing it out to just the general public. No, it's not standard for women, it's not standard for men, or high-income areas, low-income areas, rural.
It's for everyone.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And 80% of people are giving it a positive reaction, a thumbs up 20% are giving it like a laughing face, as in mocking sort of a face, and they're the negatives. But so it's 80% positive. So I'm thinking that is consistent with what the figures came out after Morrison said that he was going to make it mandatory, and 80% were opposed to that. That's exactly what I'm finding here. Well, 80% are against it.
It's funny you should say that, because I think it was about the 15th of August when he first quoted that. By the 19th, the guy's done, and this just shows how much of a vote chaser he is. He doesn't care about Australian people. All he wants is your votes. He's done a total backflip and saying that was an overreaction to his suggestion that COVID-19 vaccines would be as mandatory as possible. Like, it's just one of those things. I personally, I really, really struggle to trust any of the majors with things like this. When you think about it, back in 2015 when this bill was being passed on, it was up to the Labor and Liberals to decide whether they're going to approve it or not.
Yep.
Both of them have failed. They allowed this to go through on their watch. And I'm trying not to blow my own trumpet here, but on my website I did do an opinion piece. And again, this is my opinion. This is not the stations, not the directors, not the members.
Sure.
I went through and I had to look at all the members of parliament that had been done for things like pedophilia, sex offenders and all that sort of stuff. And it is absolutely disgusting. It is insane.
Anyone involved in any of that part of the world is disgusting. But
the moment you see where it's legislated that not even a medical officer or a police officer, something like that, a authorised person is allowed to strip naked a child, like just instant pedophile to me. If you're one of those people and you've got to do that, if you don't walk away, I consider you a pedophile.
It is opening a door that should not ever be open. Simple as that. I'm disgusted by it. Mate, we need to take a little break. Sorry to, control things from the wrong side of the desk.
No, you're the one that has to pay the bills, not me.
So let's pay those bills. And when we get back, I want to talk to Cam. I want Cam to really tell us, pitch, right? I'm walking in on off the street. You tell me why I should join your party. Simple as that. So we'll be back in just a tick. Now I'm falling over. 89.7.
It becomes a habit, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
We'll see you soon. Carter's Corner with Travis Carter, Aaron Malloy, and our very, very special guest, Cam Tinley from No Mandatory Vaccination Party. The time has just clicked over to 9:30 p.m, or as Aaron likes to say, 30 minutes to 10.
No, I don't. I say it's 9:30. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I'm just giving you
You're so mean. You just pick on me. Jeez.
It's because you're too handsome.
Yeah,
anyway, so obviously Cam's the special guest today. We've been going over the WA Health Act. There's an actual full proper name for it, but I keep forgetting what it is. To be honest with you, a bit of diabolical bit of a legislation, which was a massive failure from the majors. So Cam has decided, taken upon himself to fix it. And I think we need more people like Cam. All right, so Cam, we have had a question come through. Where are we? This is from Tim from Mount Lawley. Hey, Cam, great show. I think that was meant to be hey, Travis. Anyway, great show. What impact can you have on the floor of Parliament?
Well, you can have a massive impact on the floor of Parliament. First of all, I've said before, when I've had the opportunity, I think that this legislation is the most unbelievable legislation that's ever been passed by any government in the world in history. And people think, well, that's an exaggeration, but I honestly believe that it's the case. I cannot imagine that you wouldn't have to read the legislation from every country to see that you can't get worse than this. Removing clothing and forced injections of people is just you can't get worse. Now, so then you have to say, how did something like this happen? Now, the job of a member of Parliament, in a strict sense, is to write laws. That is what their job is, to write the law. Now, initially, going back, politicians used to write laws. They would, even if they weren't laws, they would write the laws. They had to memorise their speeches. They're very competent people. We've got to the stage now where we've got a whole lot of MPs. We've got 59 in the Legislative Assembly, and then we've got 36 in the Legislative Council, and they don't clearly they do not write these laws, so they're handed to them. But worse than handing it to them, at least if a law is handed to you, you can pretend that you wrote it yourself, but they don't even pretend that they've read it themselves, let alone write it themselves. They don't even pretend to have read the law. Now, this is the most unbelievable law that you could imagine, and none of them have even read it. It's about the Public Health Act, and when you look at the Hansards, all they talk about is their hospitals in their local electorate. They do not even talk about the bill. They haven't read the bill, but they don't care.
Do they actually bring up any topics that have anything to do with the bill at all, or is it just big nosy themselves?
They didn't bring it up. Anything. The only two people that had read the bill, in my opinion, Kim Hames had read it. He was responsible. He was a Minister for Health for the Liberal Party. I don't think any other Liberal had read the bill. The Labor put, you had McGowan, who was the opposition leader. He had read the bill. And Roger Cook had read the bill. He was the Shadow Health Minister. They had read it. But they had totally ignored everything that was in it. All they were concerned about is a section called Binding the Crown, to make sure that wonder why the Crown couldn't be sued. That was all they were concerned about. Absolutely irrelevant to this sort of thing. And that's the issue. None of them had read it. So if we got elected, if we had people, we would read all the laws, but, we're going to focus on this one.
Yep.
So essentially, okay, the reason why people vote, I'm just spitballing here, but in my mind, but the reason why people vote for the minor parties is to change the balance of power, so that is a situation where, exactly that, the smaller parties who aren't, owned effectively, they're not, the position, their job is not in the hands of the party, big party politics, they get to read it, they need to make decisions on morality and law and so forth, and they are the ones who can give balance of power. So, to me, like a lot of people think, I won't vote for a small party because, there's no way they'll get in. It's not really, in my opinion anyway, it's certainly not about that party getting in. It's about balance of power. Simple as that.
Exactly. Aaron, and the thing about it is, in Australia, you effectively get more than one vote. First of all, if people could vote for in the Legislative Assembly, they could vote for the no mandatory vaccination party and then give a second preference to a Liberal or Labor, and it will show up in the stats the number of votes that no mandatory vaccination party gets, and so that is going to represent that. Then the second vote is going to go to Liberal or Labor, who will probably win the Legislative Assembly, or National Party, who will win the Legislative Assembly seats. So you can make your point, and you will still have elected. I mean, we've got to be realistic and think it's going to be very hard for us to get a Legislative Assembly seat, so we would be looking at the Legislative Council. But what we would like to do with the membership, we want to have a representative in every seat. We want to have all 59 seats, so anybody who's against mandatory vaccination can vote for a member of Parliament that they can trust.
I think that's the word, representative, okay? Anyone, a parliamentarian should represent the people. That is the whole idea behind it.
Well, that's their whole job description.
That's exactly right. And quite frankly, I don't think most are meeting their KPIs, because they certainly don't seem to give a rat's kahoover about the people that they are paid to represent. And that's why, I am, and I don't hold any sort of, I don't hold this back. I'm very pro looking at the minor parties. I'm very pro thinking about your vote. We are very lucky in this country. We get to vote, okay? A lot of countries don't have that luxury, or they've, dictatorships, or, they live in Victoria. But, it gets to the point where, we need to learn the value of our vote, and we should do our research, okay? We get this, I know it's annoying, and I know it's all about the sausage in the bun and all that kind of carry on election day, but it is a serious thing, and we should do our research and go and listen to these people speak, and then vote accordingly. Not because mum used to vote for this party, dad used to vote for this party, whatever. You should actually, this is an incredible responsibility that you've got. Use it properly.
That's right.
So I've got a really good segue here, talking about how important your vote is. Going back to the Perth City Mayor election. So
yes.
To give you an idea, this is how important your one vote is. I'm doing donkey vote. It's not important. It is. Okay, so in the city of Perth, there were 6,118 people actually voted. So the final seat as councillor went to Victor Coe. He got 4.97% of the seats. Bruce Reynolds missed out on 4.90% of the votes. That was 4.28 votes. That's how close it was.
That equates to, okay, less than 5 people.
No.
Uh-uh.
If 3 people who voted for Victor voted for Bruce, Bruce would be our new councillor and not Victor.
Of course.
3
absolutely.
people. That's it.
Don't get me started on these postal votes then, because this drives me nuts.
I think we'll have to save the postal votes for another show, because we are running out of time. But no, 100% right with you on that one, Aaron. So go postal votes.
Okay. Look, I'm not going postal right now. Maybe we'll talk about it another time. But look, you know, as I said before, voting is very important. Okay, it's a hell of a privilege. I know it's annoying, but it's a bloody privilege, and it's a really important thing. You can't, if you're going to go on and whinge for the next 4 years about, you know, your government, right? At least be honest and say, well, you know, you put them in power, or, you know, you voted for the other guy or the other guys or the other girls or the other whatevers. Okay, it's an important thing, and my life has been touched by politics quite strongly. And it does affect your everyday life. That's what people need to realise. This isn't pie in the sky.
Well, these acts are a guidebook to our lives. It literally is.
Yeah,
like what you can
Absolutely.
and can't do is literally dictated by these little pieces of paper, which
That's
is the
right.
scariest part about it. Now, Cam, moving forward, what events have you got coming up? I heard rumours from a little birdie about something on the 24th on Saturday.
Yeah, it's 24th and the 25th.
Yep.
There's things coming up all the time. It's just amazing how many events are springing up, and it's really not normal for Australians to be demonstrating and having rallies and this sort of thing. So people are really fired up. So at Parliament House, there will be a series of speeches in front of the Parliament House, and this is probably the third time in 6 weeks that has happened.
Yep.
So
I do have the details for the one on
Okay.
Saturday the 24th. It starts at 11 a.m. So there's apparently some, what are they called, the guys with the bagpipes. You know, the really loud guys that play AC/DC on the bagpipes.
Yes,
I got
them.
told what
They're
they were
awesome.
called, but it's a very, very strange name. We'll just call them a piper.
Okay.
So there's a piper down there playing all AC/DC and all that sort of stuff. Then from, I think it's about 12 o'clock, there'll be speeches. There's going to be a food truck down there. There's pretty much just a big picnic at Parliament House Gardens.
At Parliament House, in the gardens. Okay, lovely. Cool.
Yeah, and we will be, I'm one of the last speakers, but that's fine. But we will be having a table there to sign people up. We're very happy with the number of members we've got, but we want to really push this and get our numbers up. We want to be bigger than the Liberal or the Labor Party come the next election, and that's what we intend to do. So we'd like people to sign up, and we really appreciate all of the people that do sign up.
Cam, is there a membership price or cost?
There's no membership price. Most minor parties, not all, but most minor parties do not have fees, but the Electoral Commission rings people up to make sure that you present a list that is authentic. So all of ours people, you know, they sign up, and we've got the membership forms, and we do double and triple and check. Make sure that we submit a list that is absolutely flawless in terms of our membership, but it is free. But the effectively the Liberal Party membership is free as well. I know that for a fact.
We know there's a party out there that you can join with an Aldi bag full of goodies, but all right.
Yeah. And so even the major parties, the membership is effectively free. But you know, you just have a generous person that's going to pay a few memberships, and away you go. But so it doesn't cost anything to be a member, as for most small parties, and we don't. You're not committed to doing anything. You can contribute as much or as little as you'd like. But what we really want is 59 candidates, and there's also the potential we might run more than 59 and run the most, because there may be some seats that we've got two people that are really keen, and we will run two people in a Legislative Assembly seat, and that hasn't been done for about 50 years in WA, but it has happened.
Okay.
And so the public can pick which of the two candidates they want to vote for out of one particular party.
Okay. Now, Dwayne, thank you very much for calling me out on this one. So apparently there's a big argument online about what someone who plays the bagpipes is called. Some say they're the bagpipers, and others say they're pipers.
Now, we're dealing with the big issues here.
Oh, it's super big issues. Now, just going back to the event on the 24th, the reason I know the details is yours truly is also a guest speaker at the event. So I'll be seeing Cam down there. I've been trying to hassle the boss to let us do a out-of-office broadcast from there. He still says no.
Yes, computer says no, and so do I.
Yeah,
there
I
you
know.
go.
Well, it was worth a shot. It was worth a shot. Now, if people do want to see us down there, 0418 897 897, text through saying, do the out of office broadcast.
Yeah,
Put
okay,
the
you
pressure on
can
the
do
bosses.
that, yes. Yeah, because
I don't think anyone's on text
definitely
message.
going to fall right to my knees when it comes to peer pressure, mate. It's going to happen.
Like the koalas. No, sorry, that's a very, very bad joke. Okay, so I'm trying to think. One more thing we're supposed to
here's
cover,
what I would
but
like to do.
I've
I think we
moved
should go to a break right now. We've got some bills to pay, my friend. Once we've paid those bills, can we come back? There's a couple of little issues that I'd love to bring up, to talk about. So can we do that?
Yeah, we'll go do some ads, pay
Cool.
some bills, and then we'll be back shortly. So Carter's Corner, 89.7.
Our sponsor break, fantastic.
Carter's Corner is back again with Travis Carter, Aaron Malloy, and Cam Tinley from No Mandatory Vaccination. And if you're wondering why we're laughing, I was pressing the wrong buttons. I was turning off the microphones instead of turning them on. So pro here.
Yes, I know. His lovely wife has told me he often has that problem, but never mind. We'll move on.
Pete. Well, I was going to say keep it PG, but we're after hours.
It doesn't matter. Throw it out.
It doesn't matter. So get your questions through 0418 897 897. Also, this is 897.com. This is 897 FM. You can listen live at 897fm.com.au. And if you do want to watch this show later, it will be on my personal YouTube channel, which is just Travis Carter, and Cam's YouTube channel. Will you want you to play this later as well? We've got a nod. So that is No Mandatory Vaccinations Western Australia on the YouTube search engines, and just scroll down because they're trying to hide him all the way down the bottom. So make sure you listen in, give it a like, subscribe, and slap that like now. Is that what they do? Press the bell?
I don't know, mate. You're making this up as you go along. I understand.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
All the time. All right. So because we are coming up to the end of the show, Cam, is there anything else you want to share with us about this act? Anything that's just so diabolical you just need to get it out there?
Gee, mate, finish on a high note.
Of course.
No, the whole act is unbelievable, and really the fact that it's through, it's a reflection on the quality of the MPs. I mean, if you're an MP now, you're not only an MP, you've got a huge office, you've got huge resources, and you've got a huge staff. So it's not just your 59 Legislative Assembly members and your upper house members, they've got staff as well. And if legislation like this can get through, people should not be confident in electing them again. I mean, I'm pushing for our party, but you can be confident that if any of us did get in, that we would read the laws and take this law out. I mean, this law has to be removed. We just cannot have this. And the other things I'd like to say is, in the northern suburbs here, we've got a lot of English migrants, and the English political system is very different from the Australian system. And a lot of people do not appreciate that this is not a first past the post situation. So if you vote for a minor party, you're not wasting your vote. In the UK, you've got your two parties, Conservative and Labor, but if you had a minor party, the vote would not really count because one of the big parties is going to win the seats. But in Australia, that's not the case. So you vote. We have a preferential system, and so you can, if you want Liberal or Labor, whatever, you can still vote for a minor party. But the thing is, in the Legislative Council, in the upper house, 30% of people vote for minor parties.
Right.
30% vote for Liberal, 30 Labor, 30 Liberal, 30% minor parties. So there's big numbers that are voting for the minor parties. In Queensland, it's about closer to 45% vote for minor parties.
Wow.
And WA is the worst. We here have the smallest number vote for minor parties. I'm thinking that will change this election because there are numerous minor parties trying to get set up, and there is no reason to vote for the Liberal or Labor parties.
No, they've failed. Let's put it clearly. The Labor and Liberal parties have failed. My personal belief I like to call him Mal Gowan because he's a bit of a dictator at the moment. His handling of this state of emergency has been lazy. There's so many ways he should have been dealing with things, the border closures, the house when he should have reacted, stuff like that. And he was just lazy. He didn't do his job.
My thought on that is okay, we've got so many West Australians who are very keen on the border closures, obviously, and it's wonderful we're living in an environment where we're not like the eastern states. Now, I'm going to stop talking because I can see that now
our phones are going off the hook. So
they really are. So
I'm going to try something here. Just bear with me for a moment, guys.
Right.
I'm going to turn my mic off.
All right, he's taking a call. So we'll do a bit of race cam action here. I will just chat away. I'll let him do his thing, and hopefully we'll get this caller live onto the air. I can hear Vicky. All right, mate, are you ready to go on air?
Hang on. Are you the one that's going to be talking?
Oh, there we go. All right.
Okay, hang on. I'll just pop you on hold, then I'll bring you through the desk.
Fantastic. We're just
All right,
learning
hang
how to use, the new toys. All right. Back in your hands, young man.
Oh, this is awesome. We've had another phone call, caller call through. I'm just going to bring it through. Her name is Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vicky, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Certainly can.
Success.
I had to put you on speaker because I need to read a message here now from Nathan Buckley, which he sent me weeks ago. So Nathan is one of the two lawyers over east that have stood up, and talked about what's going on in Victoria
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the country. So he's actually in my Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
So with regards to the WA Health Act of 2016, right, I'm just going to read a message that he sent me as to, and he just can't believe the actual act either. So basically, he's outlined the violations that are taking place, from a legal point of view. So it's assault and battery.
Yep.
These are criminal offences and torts. No one can jab a person without their consent.
Yeah, it's
They
assault.
also bring Section 51, which is XXIIIA of the Commonwealth Constitution, insofar as they mandate civil conscription. No government can mandate or force vaccinations on anyone.
So
There is...
Sorry about cutting you off there, Vicky. So just so we're clear, there's an actual federal act that says that this act is wrong?
Yeah, and this is coming straight from a lawyer.
Okay, and I'll add a little on that because obviously the High Court and the federal law overrides West Australian law. Okay, simple as that. So effectively, that law that's the rest, West Australian legislation rather, is really null and void if you wanted to challenge it, if you had the money to challenge it.
Key
That's
word
the
there,
point.
the money. Now, in saying that this isn't a new thing either, because if we're having a look at the WA government trying to override federal laws, just have a look at the Mineralogy Act and what they're doing on that. So I can see Mal Gowan trying to force this through. He's done it with border closures. He's done it with amending acts from 2002, as of 2002, not recent.
Yep.
There's I can see Mal Gowan trying to push this through.
Look, I love the fact that in WA, we're living so freely compared to other states, and I actually am pro the Premier for the initial reaction and what he did initially, right? I really am, and I know you probably disagree with me there.
Very, but that's okay. You're entitled to
and
your
that's
opinion.
the thing, mate. That's the great thing about this show is we can have differing opinions.
Okay. Now, Vicky, we are, unfortunately, we do have a show after this one and we're on a very, very tight time frame. We've only got 3 minutes left over. Can I give you a job of getting a hold of this guy, the lawyer that you're talking to, and seeing if he can come on the show, obviously not in person because, border restrictions and all that sort of crap. How does he feel about calling through onto the telephone system next week for Tuesday's show? And he can actually give us a lawyer's point of view and a breakdown of what's going on. And if someone does get forced to take a vaccine, what are their options? What can they do?
Yeah, well, that's right. And I'll just read the rest to you that he sent me. He put there is also unlawful detention, false imprisonment, and other human rights abuses involved here, including freedom of religion, freedom from torture and cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment, protection of families and children, and humane treatment when deprived of liberty.
Well, the West Australian government have a long-running history of breaching many of those, but there you go.
I think we need to get the lady or gentleman, this lawyer, onto the show and have a chat. I'm going to throw it over to Cam now. What's the chance of getting you back next week to have a chat to this lawyer, dude?
I don't know. I can try. I can message him. So what he said at the end is, these provisions are disgusting and breach all of these. I'm amazed that they were introduced into the law in WA 4 years ago.
Now, I want to throw a spanner in the works here. Have you checked the Queensland and New South Wales health acts?
I haven't.
I
no,
have.
I think
They're
we're
in
all a
them
bit
as
too
well.
busy trying to save
In it
Victoria
as well.
and ourselves from what we've discovered at the moment.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it is also in the Queensland and New South Wales health acts. The forced vaccination is also in them. They're pretty much a carbon copy. Now, Vicky,
Really?
I have to say, Fantastic. Thank you very much for calling in today.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can, try and chase that guy down or lady down. I'd really, really love to get him to have a chat on the show. If there's also any other people who have opinions about this, one way or the other, we want to talk to you. So make sure you get your messages through. We do read all the messages and we try to bring them up. Now, we do have about 1 minute and 46 seconds left on this show. And so, Vicky, closing statements, anything you want to bring up?
No, I'll leave it to you guys, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Fantastic. I'll see you there as well, Vicky. Thanks for your call in.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Cam, the floor is yours, mate. I'd love to hear what you've got to say.
Yes, so that's the... Thanks, Aaron. That's what we're all about. We don't need to think that people need to worry about it being a single-issue party or a minor party. That your vote is going to count, and you also won't have to worry about the calibre of the people that we will be running at the next election. I think they're going to be head and shoulders above any, the Liberal or the Labor members of Parliament, and we want people to be able to have that voice. And this is not just a local thing. If people can see that this party, our party, is going to get some traction, we have members from every state and overseas as well. We have international members also, and people are very interested in the United States about this situation. They're absolutely horrified, and that's the situation. People are going to be very having a look at the WA election. We'll be the first party concentrating on the vaccinations, the only party, and it's going to be very important that we have a good showing.
Fantastic, Cam. So I have to wrap you up there. So first of all, thank you for coming in. We've got 17 seconds. So this has been Carter's Corner with Aaron Malloy, Travis Carter. Make sure you look us up on the old YouTube. Listen live at 897fm.com.au or on 897 on the radio.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.